Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Imagine this. You've created a thriving business that can sustain itself to the point where you can now have the baby that you always wanted. You're so excited, you're enjoying your pregnancy. Then at a prenatal appointment, your doctor tells you there's a better than 50% chance this baby will be a stillborn. Now what? My name's Frank Sakari. This is Life Altering Events, and this is Near-Death Experiences. Lisa Sasso, my guest today, heard that news. But let's take a step back and let's understand something about Lisa and her husband. First, Lisa, welcome to Life Altering Events.
Thank you, Frank. Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to this.
Well, I'm excited that you're here. Lisa and I spoke a couple of months back, and the story was riveting, and we said we have to put this on the air. Now, Lisa, professionally, it appeared professionally. You had this Midas touch. So give the viewers an overview of your background and some of the personal accomplishments that you achieved.
Sure. Well, first, I'd like to tell you about a quick love story of my husband and I. We've been together for 37 years and 29 years married. But when we were just kids, I was 15 and he was 18, he asked me out. He wore a leather jacket and rock t-shirts and dark sunglasses, and I took, a big chance to date him, but it was all for the best because, like I said, 37 years, we're still together. We dated 4 years while we were in high school, and then 4 years when I went to UMass Amherst. And then we got married in 1992 and had a huge party with 300 people. And a couple years after, we went to Bentley University for our MBAs. And we did as many projects together as we could because we knew that each other would do the appropriate amount of work. And it really worked out well. John was our valedictorian. He graduated with a 4.0. I think I was second, and I graduated with high distinction. But we were destined to do something together. Frank mentioned the Midas touch. I don't know if I would call it the Midas touch, but I can definitely say that I was very blessed when it came to work and work experiences. And I graduated college with 2 degrees, a BBA in marketing and a BA in economics. And I went to Filene's because they said that they hire future vice presidents. And that was my goal, to be a future vice president. And from Filene's, which I was nurtured by their controller and their CFO, I went to Bard Cardiology. And ironically, at Bard, I was promoted 4 times in 4 years as well, but under the auspices of 3 different presidents. And they were my mentors and helped me. 6 months after John and I got our MBA, we had a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And that was to work with this Swedish company that was one of my vendors. And they wanted me to take on a new product line and to find the appropriate company to market it through. So a Boston Scientific or a Cordis or companies like that. And my husband and I decided to write up a business plan for this new venture. And we argued the case of doing a US distributorship in the United States. And they had gotten quotes of 8 to 10 million in losses year 1 and 2 for doing business in the States. And we offered to do $1 million in sales with profitability, which was like unheard of. But I'm pleased to say that year 1, we delivered $1.35 million and we were profitable. So I started Ratty Inc. And I'll tell you just a very quick story about when it started. My next door neighbor, Tina, was my customer service person. She would go to my house, listen to the answering machine, collect the order, do the paperwork, put it between my household doors, and call FedEx to pick it up. That's how it started. It started out of my basement, and it was incredible the way it grew. Double and triple digit growth for 5 years straight. And but we had a great product. This is the pressure wire, and it's a life-saving device. It was a wire that determined whether or not a cardiologist should treat a blockage. And if they did, they could put the stent right over the wire, or the balloon catheter right over the wire. But it really gave doctors good decision-making capabilities. And I had 4 family members die of coronary artery disease. So this was just so in line with me and with what I wanted to do. And by 2004, we were in a 14,000 square foot office, very different than my basement.
Mm-hmm.
And I was rated number 28 of 100 women-led businesses in Massachusetts. And we did $28 million in year 5.
Wow. It's amazing. Out of a basement to $28 million in a 5-year window is incredible. Now you're at the top of your game. You're at the top of the game. You have great professional success. You have a wonderful marriage. This tremendous cardiac pressure wire is saving lives. You find out you're pregnant. You're very happy. Now you go to your prenatal appointment. What happened?
Well, like you said, I was successful at work, but unfortunately, I wasn't so successful in having children. We needed to change our lifestyle, and we needed to get help from fertility. And when we finally did get pregnant, and we were very excited, and we told everybody, I lost the baby. The baby's heart stopped. So that was a setback, because I had left the job that I loved to pursue this even bigger dream of motherhood, and it wasn't happening.
Mm-hmm.
So finally, and I started a consulting company to stay busy and to stay focused on my personal goal. And finally, in 2006, I had a successful pregnancy, or so I thought. When I went to that prenatal visit, I heard from the doctor that the baby's heart was compromised, and that there was a 50% chance that the baby would not be born.
Oh my God.
Alive.
Oh my God.
And it was devastating. The first thing I did was they said, well, if there's a 50% chance that the baby will be compromised or won't make it, then there's a 50% chance that he or she could make it. So let's focus on that. And needless to say, you fire clients. Well, I fired the doctor. I got a doctor that was absolutely wonderful from the fetal maternal care, Wayne Tresky, and he believed in me, and he believed in the fetus, and he was going to do anything in his power to make sure that that this baby came to be. And so I had to take digoxin and which was a very powerful. I had to take digoxin every day, which was a very powerful heart drug to get to the baby. I also, because it was so high risk, I had to go for both my OBGYN exams each week and also maternal fetal medicine exams each week. So it was very late,
Very high stress.
It was, and especially since we weren't telling the grandparents, the future grandparents, or our siblings, because we wanted everybody to be as positive as possible, and we didn't want anyone, seeing anything different. And so, if I can, I'd love to tell you what happened.
Sure. So your son is born, and then immediately what occurs?
Okay. Well, I'm just going to give you a tiny bit of background on the accomplishment of birthing him. That day on April 23rd, it'll be a day that I'll never forget. My brother Bob took me for a regular checkup, and when we got there, they said that the baby was in trouble, and the baby was 4 weeks premature, but they said that they needed to take the baby then. And I had to actually sign a waiver for my doctor to deliver the baby, because the doctor had been on call for the last 24 hours. And the hospital wouldn't let him deliver it. But I knew this was a life and death matter with my baby, and I wanted him, he had been there for me for 8 months, and I needed him in the home stretch.
Right.
So my husband, John, almost missed the birth because he had to go from Braintree to Boston, and then he was running down Huntington Ave, and there was a Red Sox game, so there was no place to park. So, my older brother was all gowned up and ready to go in with me. And John got there as they're pushing the gurney into the operating room. And the transport team kept saying, oh, when we get her, and then she's going to do this and that. And we had waited 8 months, not knowing, having an envelope with the sex of the child and not knowing what it was. And then the transport team told us she and her. So we went in there going, all right, I guess we know at least what the sex of the baby is. So they delivered the baby via C-section. And I remember hearing the tiniest shriek. It sounded like a baby cat. And it was, the baby was alive. We were overjoyed. We were over the moon. And in fact, we called him Baby Moon the whole time I was pregnant. We were just so ecstatic. We were crying. We were emotional. And then the doctor said, congratulations on your baby boy. and we looked at each other like, but they said, well, okay, we're trusting the doctor. He's holding the baby.
Yeah, well, that's a good idea.
Yeah, he actually knows. And so we named the baby right away. As soon as we knew it was a boy, he was named John Robert. John for his dad, John, my husband, his dad, John for John's dad, Robert for my father, and Robert for my brother, the godfather, who almost helped deliver the baby. And then on top of all of that, it was my mother-in-law's birthday on April 23rd. So really, we wrapped up everybody and we've only had one child, but we made sure that we got everybody involved.
Outstanding. Outstanding.
So, I did it. He was 7 pounds, 6 ounces, and 30 inches long.
Wow.
And for a preemie of 4 weeks, they said if I had gone to term, this baby would have been over 10 pounds.
Yes.
So but he entered the world safely. We were prepared for the next steps, which we knew would be cardiac defects, and they named the heart condition that he had Epstein's anomaly, and we moved forward with that.
Mm-hmm. So he went into cardiac intensive care immediately. Is that what happened?
Yeah, believe it or not, from Beth Israel to Children's is just around the corner, but they had to take him by ambulance because they had to put him in a special NICU carrier. And so he went directly to the cardiac intensive care unit.
Wow.
I can close my eyes and still remember the picture that I saw. It was my son sprawled out with his hands up, and he was hooked up to all kinds of electrodes to watch and monitor his heart. He had a feeding tube in his nose. He had PICC lines for medications. He had an oxygen mask on him. And, and he also had jaundice. So he had this light shining on him. So I kept looking at that little magic zipper down his chest that went from his sternum to almost his tummy. And when you look at a little baby with all these stitches and all these, mechanisms keeping him alive, it's scary. It is so scary. And the second day of his life was the most horrific day of my life because his heart rate went off the charts at 212, and they needed to get defibrillators to stabilize the baby. And where it's a teaching hospital, there was about 15 to 20 doctors around him as they're doing the paddles. And I'm sitting right next to that, seeing all of this. But again, I had been working for medical device companies for years. So surgery and looking at monitors and doing stuff. I was very familiar with the drill, but it's still scary when it's your own baby sitting there, and it's quite emotional. And but he did well in CICU, and in fact, after 2 weeks they had him go to step down, and he was taking 3 medications: flecainide, propranolol, and Lasix. And he had to get these 3 times a day. And so, so that means, at some point it's in the middle of your night. So, every day, the flecainide and propranolol 3 times, Lasix was twice a day. But it was, they were giving him all this medicine through the PICC line. So it wasn't until we got home that we got to appreciate how much work it is to continue doing that. But he smiled at 2 weeks. He was breastfed for the first time, and he just knew exactly what to do. And they never thought that he would be able to clamp on or do, they just didn't think that he would be able to do this. And he did. And believe it or not, I ended up breastfeeding him for 2 years and giving him lots of good nutrients and getting him strong. And the doctors warned us that because he's a cardiac kid, that he was going to probably be smaller and not able to do sports, at least contact sports, and that, that he was going to have some challenges. But if I just fast forward to 2021, his last doctor's appointment, he's 95% for height. I'm 5'8", and he's taller than me. And they have him on a trajectory to be at 6'2" to 6'4".
Wow, so, what a change. So you get him home, you go through this horrific ordeal, But that wasn't the end of it, right? There were more things that occurred.
Oh, absolutely. That was only the beginning of his journey. He had something called torticollis. And what that is when your neck you have your neck pointing to one side because your muscle tone is very low. And so he needed to do exercises with physical therapy. And we had a nurse and a physical therapist come to our house every week. And they did that for 3 years. And because he had developmental delays. And so, he didn't roll over like other kids roll, and he didn't crawl when other kids crawled, and he didn't walk. He walked at 18 to 20 months. So everything was just a little delayed, and we just got the help and support to do it. And at the time, so he was born in 2007. In 2009, I switched from consulting to coaching so that I didn't have to be responsible for the 8 people that I had on my in medical development partners, and I could just focus on him and doing the coaching that I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's
then
incredible. Go ahead.
Then it came time for surgery. Every day, giving him his bath and looking at his magic zipper and wondering when the next block would fall. And so at 3.5, they said, we're ready. We're going to do this open heart surgery. But first, we need to do cardiac ablation surgery, because if he has an arrhythmia during the heart surgery, it could be very bad. So we did do the ablation surgery. It was a 6.5-hour surgery, very long, and it was unsuccessful. They were not able to cauterize what they needed to do. And then he got really sick from the anesthetic. So he wasn't doing well afterwards. And the doctors decided that they weren't going to do another ablation. They were just going to do the open heart surgery and take their chances that he wouldn't have an arrhythmia during the procedure. And so I can remember those 5 hours pacing in the, when they say like expecting fathers pace. Well, I was an expecting mother, expecting a good outcome. Mm-hmm. And I was pacing, and he did great. 4 days after his open heart surgery, he was walking in the CICU.
Wow.
And a week later, he was in step down. So 14 days after having this major open heart surgery, he was coming home to Reading to be with us. And
it's incredible.
He was still going to be on all the medications. So the surgery didn't stop the medication. And in fact, they inserted a Medtronic Reveal monitor in his chest. And the reason they did this was they wanted to be able to monitor his heartbeat on a day-to-day basis to make sure that the rhythm was good and that there wasn't a problem with it. So that's technology, because that metal monitor that they had that goes to a downloads it directly to Children's Hospital 24/7. And one time he was at a jumpy house and they called me to tell me his heart rate was really elevated, and I said, okay, I know why. Mm-hmm. And so it was a good thing to have.
Right, I'll bet. So then at 11 years old, there was something else that happened. Is that right?
Yes. August of 2018. We again had a successful surgery. This was about 4 hours. They removed his trach that he had in his neck 1 day after surgery. So, that took like 2 days, 2.5 days at the first surgery. This was after one day they were removing the trach, and he was walking in the CICU 2 days later. And it's unbelievable when you can go into a hospital on a Wednesday and then by Sunday be leaving that hospital and going back to your own home.
Wow. That's wonderful.
But many children with cardiac issues have learning disabilities.
Mm-hmm.
And so, after this situation, John Robert was diagnosed with ADHD and also dyslexia.
Wow. So you walk away from your business. Your focus is totally on your son now. He has survived life-threatening cardiac at birth, 2 monster surgeries, learning disabilities. It's amazing. It's just amazing. Tell us how he's doing now.
Oh, I'd love to. First of all, he's an incredible kid. He's just good-natured, very caring, very sensitive, and very loving. But he's so involved with so many different dancing, drama, Boy Scouts, and he's an altar boy. And when I say dancing, he doesn't just do dancing. He does hip hop, jazz, and tap. So he's super busy and into everything, but his love is really for theater. And he started theater at 5 years old, and he was Mr. Froggy in the play The Frog in the Jungle. Mm-hmm. And so he started off, with a big role when he was only 5 years old. And then last year in 2020, he was Bert in Mary Poppins, the lead man.
Wow.
He was Harry in Mamma Mia. And this past Mother's Day weekend, he was just Luminaire in Beauty and the Beast. So he has what they call it in the industry, the trifecta. He can sing, he can dance, and he can act. And he does them all really, really well.
He's how old now?
He's 14 years old.
14. What an absolutely amazing story. Now I understand he's going to be going to high school here soon.
Yes. In September, he's going to be going to a school that actually specializes in dyslexia. And it's a special ed school. And, he would much rather be with his friends in our hometown.
I'll bet.
But this is the right thing to do. And we want to just set him up for success. The drama department at this new school is thrilled to get him. And, we're going to actually watch a presentation that they're doing next week, so we get a feel of their drama. But when we went on the tour and we got to talk to the head of drama, he just said, I really hope you come here, because I really, can use somebody like you.
That's incredible. Wow. What a story. What a story. So things look like they're progressing well. He's doing well. Is the heart issue still a major concern, or is he outgrown that yet?
No, we're out of the woods for a while. The thing that we go every March to make sure to check his heart in both 3D with an echo, and also EKGs and the normal workups. He has day-long procedures every year. But as long as his heart continues to grow and that it matches his body, what would be problematic if the valves weren't doing well, or, they said that he might need one more surgery depending on, his growth spurt and where and how he's doing. But right now, we don't think about it. We don't worry about it. Like I said, with dancing and with drama, he's not putting any undue pressure on his heart. You know, we were smart. We didn't have him get involved with football or soccer or any of that. And we were just lucky that he loved the arts.
Mm-hmm.
That really came to him naturally. So.
That's amazing. Well, his heart, it's easy to see where the strength comes from talking to you. Your heart is the power that John Robert has drawn from to become what he has becoming. Ladies and gentlemen, when this gets posted, we're going to show a picture of John Robert in all the tubes and things, which I think you have right there. And this is what he looked like shortly after birth. And we have named him the miracle baby, the miracle child. This is an incredible story, just incredible. So Lisa, what are you doing now? Now John Robert's moving forward. It appears that he's on a nice trajectory. You're someone who's a mover and shaker. I'm sure you're involved in something else now. What else are you doing?
Well, I'm the president of Medical Development Partners, which is an executive coaching and motivational speaking company. And I help empower medical device professionals to transition into the medical device field, to onboard into new companies, and to climb the corporate ladder and reach their professional and personal goals. So it's very rewarding. I love what I do every day, and I know I'm helping people, and I have the flexibility to do whatever I need to do for John Robert and just work out my own schedule, which is, you know, it's wonderful working for yourself. And,
yeah, it is.
And when you have a son like John Robert, you really need that flexibility.
Absolutely. It's amazing. So Lisa, with all you've accomplished and all you've been through with yourself professionally and with your son, what last words do you want to leave the viewers with today?
Just a couple lessons learned. First of all, God does not give you more than you can handle. I know that firsthand. And the past can dictate the shape of the future. And it wasn't an accident that I worked for Bard Cardiology and that I worked for Ratty Medical Systems and that I got this training on the heart. That was all, you know, the plan.
Mm-hmm.
And I say to never underestimate the power of prayer, because when he was going through these surgeries and we were at Children's Hospital, we had this little database that we were sending out nightly updates to all of our friends and family, and they were writing us back in this portal, and it was great. And there were so many people praying for him, people that didn't even know him from our church and parish, and so I believe that God gave the right kid to the right parents.
Mm-hmm.
And if I could leave you with one quote that just means so much to me, it's, to the world, you may be just one person, but to one person, you may be the world. And that's H. Jackson Brown is the author of that quote. But like to John Robert, I was his world. But to me, he was my world.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly. We have heard so many people, Lisa, over the course of this show say there are no random acts, and everything you went through in your life prepared you for this moment with this child, and everything he has gone through in his life has prepared him for this moment in this new school with this new potential career. Just amazing. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as I said, we're just about out of time. I want to thank Lisa one more time for this just truly amazing story of courage and love and inspiration. Now, ladies and gentlemen, no matter what life throws at you, and we just heard from Lisa, life's going to throw a great deal at you. Please, please do three things. Look up, get up, and never, ever give up. Pick up the pieces, start moving forward, and better times and better people will come into your life. If you want more information on Lisa, you can contact her through her website or contact me, and I'll make sure that it gets to her. Now, you can watch this show on Roku TV or on my YouTube page, Frank Zakari. I will also send links to Lisa so she can post it in all the places that she puts out her information. If you use the YouTube link, please subscribe. One last thing, let me leave you with this as I do every week. None of us are in this alone. And the secret to walking on water is to know where the rocks are. And today, Lisa showed us where many of those rocks are. Join me again next week, and we have another life-altering event. Thank you again, Lisa.
Thank you, Frank.